guys, Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video today, and we have got a New Year's Deck of Fate event. It is basically death by 1,000 summoning events right now, but I will say that the summoning events have been quite good, varied, and actually not that difficult to acquire something of value for your account. We've had guaranteed champions. We've got another guaranteed champion here. We've had really good progressive odds with really good champions in those progressive events. And they have been putting up some good offers if you wanted to spend a little bit more because you're feeling a bit festive, right? If that's in the mood you are in, the packs have been better than normal, much better than average, especially the primals and the Sacred Shards. They are much better than normal. So this time around, we've got a Deck of Fates events. Now, if you've never done a Deck of Fate events, this is your first time ever doing it. The way that this event works is you have 40 cards. You have to flip the card, and behind the card, there will be a series of rewards. You can see all of the rewards are listed here. We've got some Mortal Soul Stones. We've got some Immortal Soul Coins, some glyphs, legendary books, and we've also got some gems here. But the real thing that's going to be behind there is the 100 fragments for Gwyndolin, which is a brand new champion that they added in the last update. Gwyndolin will be behind a number of rarities. Now, this is where I don't like this event particularly. They have done what they did before, which is nuke the amount of epic cards available to you. So when you flip a card, each card has a rarity. You have common, rare, or epics. And what you have to do is flip 3 of them in the same rarity, and that gives you a bonus reward. So as you can see here, if I get lucky and I pull 3 of those epics in a row, I can walk away with an Eternal Soul Stone, a legendary book, a mythical tome, 1,000 energy. I'll be honest, the Eternal Soul Stone is way more valuable than 1,000 energy. And the legendary book is possibly way more valuable as well because of the amount of time it takes to get an Eternal Soul Stone. They're not exactly available. Same as the mythical tomes. You will easily spend a couple of thousand energy trying to get one mythical tome. So if you get any of this, you'd absolutely want the stone, the books, one of those two. I definitely would think. But what they've done, normally there is like 10 or 9 epic cards here. They've actually put 6 this time, which basically means you have such a high fail rate that the likelihood of you getting 3 epics in a row is beyond impossible. And I think they've changed it just to make it harder, and I don't really know why they've done that, but I guess they have. These fragments are going to exist behind the 6 and the 12 rares. That's where all the rewards for the champions are going to be. So you actually have to dig quite deep. You're probably going to have to fill out the entire board to get this champion. If you get lucky, you only need 18 flips, but the luck is probably not there. Now, the way you're going to get currency to flip these cards is you're going to get these Christmas tree cookies. I don't know what they're calling them. They call them cards, but you're going to be able to get fate cookies. And you earn those by basically doing dungeon divers or summoning champions from shards. And I can tell you straight away that they want you to summon shards. The rewards for doing dungeon divers here has been nerfed again. So this is the 3rd time they've reduced these points. I've got a comparison to show you what they used to be versus what they are now, because they're trying to basically say you get points from summoning. You might get some from dungeon divers, but you're never going to be able to do this event from dungeon divers. So it's all about shards. So the premise is quite simple. You summon champions, you get yourself cookies, you use those cookies to flip the cards, and then if you find all of the cards with all of the fragments for Gwyndolin, you get yourself a guaranteed champion. So it's essentially, you know, at a basic mathematical level, 20 Sacred Shards will give you a Gwyndolin guaranteed. That's the basic math, but that's not exactly how it's going to go because, as I mentioned, if you get lucky and you find all of the Gwyndolin, you might only need about 10. Now, we do have some summoning events going on right now. We've got a ×2 primal, and this is the first time they've done a ×2 primal for the mythical champions as well. So you basically have a combined chance here of 35% chance it's going to be epic or higher. It's still a very incredibly high chance it's going to be a rare champion, but this is probably the best opportunity for you to get a legendary or mythical champion in the game. Outside of these remnant summons, which I'm currently holding for a clan versus clan, because if you get a mythical champion on a clan versus clan, then that's like 70,000 points. There's no real reason for me to rush to summon these. There's no boosted opportunities. There's no champion chase event. There's just really no reason for me to pull this right now. However, this progressive event is going to end in 1 day 16 event. This ×2. So I'm going to be pulling my primal shards. I have bought a few primal shards because the pack offer today was about $4. That is as most as I'm willing to pay for a primal shard. It's still a little bit too expensive, but it's better than the $5 or $6 rates they normally set. There is also progressive events for a Supreme Kaelin and a Rogrim. And there is also some here going on for Theodore and Calvalax. I probably will not summon any Ancients here. I'm probably not going to choose these. But if I did, I'd want the Calvalax because I already have a Theodore. Venomage is incredibly good if you're trying to be Amius. You know, this is where their analytics are quite clear. They absolutely know the way to be Amius is with Venomage at the moment. So they are offering you that ability to get a Venomage if you don't have it. So this is probably worth going for if you're trying to be Amius and you just need that Venomage. These are not so crazy. I do have Supreme Kale. I haven't started working on him yet. And there is bonus summoning events going on all throughout the year. There's a second schedule here starting tomorrow where we're going to get Herndig and Trunder on Ancient Shards. I would argue a bit dated, but if you're trying to chase that Hydra Clash, then that Trunder will be very good. We get Cornelia and Grizzled Jarl. I would skip both of those. You do get a Crizia from Void Shards, so if I needed to pull Void Shards to get the Deck of Fates done, I would be pulling my Void Shards tomorrow because I do not have an Crizia, and she is very worth it. And Runekeeper Dazdirk is also an excellent champion. He's very good for some clan boss options. If you don't have like a Seeker and various different things, you can basically use the Runekeeper Dazdirk for various different cool things. From Sunday, we're going to have a Candrathon Hefrak. Again, Hefrak's okay. Candrathon's pretty good, but they're nothing like... They're not, oh my god, I must pull every shard that I've got. Thalassian Royal Guard, both excellent epics. Actually worth it for an epic pull. Leorius, the Proud for Void. I would prefer the Acrizia, but again, I don't have a Leorius, so I could potentially... And then I finally convinced them, guys. It's taken me 6 months, but even Plarium now acknowledged that Whisper is an absolute top-tier Void epic. The Church is very proud to be represented by Plarium this year on a ×15 progressive chance. If you don't have your Whisper, go grab your Whisper, join the congregation. Whisper is amazing. Then we got the fourth schedule here, the last one on January, New Year's Day. Korrigal, Deathbell, and Truarth. Truarth is an interesting legendary, very strong healer for some of the Cintranos hard stages. Truarth is actually quite niche, but very powerful when you need it. When you need it, Truarth is very powerful. Just not, you don't need it that often. Vogoth, Messiah Priest, Ornn, they're all right. They're okay. A Bellatar Mage Slayer, I would not want a Bellatar Mage Slayer. I actually think his kit is very weak. For a Void Legendary, I'd want more certainty in his kit. He takes too long, but Maneater. If you are a new or early or mid-game player and you don't have Maneaters, this will be the best opportunity for you to get your Maneaters and try and unlock Clan Boss. Maneater is probably better than Bellatar Mage Slayer. That's how good he is for unlocking Clan Boss. The moment you can unlock Clan Boss, that's where you get your rewards. Today, I got a Legendary Book and a Sacred Shard from one Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss run. It is the best place to get rewards. Those are the sort of progressive chances. There is a champion training tournament. Well, there's so many things going on. I would ignore this champion training tournament because unless you're willing to win, you're not going to get a 4-star soul, and most people will go crazy for it. The fusion's ending soon. I'm so annoyed with the fusion because there is literally no way for me to gain any value from summoning the fusion. There's no champion chase. There's no CVC. There's no extra returns. So I'm probably just going to complete the fusion today. I've got a few more Bovosses. I got one to pull and one to make, and just complete it today and waste 750 points. It's just a bit frustrating. But there we go. Look, we've talked a lot about it. Let me just give you a quick math breakdown of the Deck of Fates event. So the first thing I want to talk about is this nerfed Dungeon Divers rates. You see the second row here. This was what the Dungeon Diver rates were the first time we actually had Deck of Fates Dungeon Divers. We used to get 55 for a 6-star Mythical, 44 for a 6-star Legendary. They have nuked the rates by about half. This is the second nerf. The last time we had a Deck of Fates, they brought it down to about 30% of the original value. It's now 50% of the original value. They really don't want you doing Dungeon Divers. They want you to summon shards. In this instance, summoning is pretty straightforward. So what does the actual analysis mean? If you really want to do it just from Dungeon Divers, if you're crazy enough and you're insane enough, that's all you want to do, then the best stage to do it on is stage 20. It's going to be the best energy efficient one. You'll need to do about 3,040 dungeon runs to the tune of 48,000 energy if you want to just acquire this from Dungeon Divers. It's impossible. Nobody can, I don't even think you can run 3,040 dungeon runs in that space of time unless you're doing Spider. Probably could do Spider 20 doing it that way, but it's just not practical. You're never going to want to spend that much energy in that much short space of time on just this kind of thing. Like you could do 3,000 Spider runs across like 3 months of raid. You're not going to do it in 2 days. So absolutely Dungeon Divers is not the way to go. It's all about shards. So what I've built here is, I'll put this in the description of the video as I always do with these breakdowns. I've got a summoning shard offset, so you can put in your amount here. So I can put in my 38 primal shards, and you can see it's going to give me 30,000 points. And then it will tell me if I want to get the last through Dungeon Divers, I need to do 730 runs, which is still too much, right? So I'm probably going to have to pull my other sort of shards here as well. Now, I will probably hold my Sacred Shards till Sunday because it's a times 2 sacred. I might pull my Void Shards tomorrow. That would give me like 11. And then I think I've got about 3 Sacred Shards because I just got one from Doomtown today. So I've got enough just exclusively from shards. But you can see if I didn't use those 3 Sacreds, I'd have to put 7,000 energy into dungeon runs. You can't really offset it. You can offset like Void and Ancients, but Sacreds and Primals are the way to kind of go here. So I'll put this in the description of the video so you can actually, enter your shards that you've got here and work out how much Dungeon Divers you need to do. You can see it's pretty expensive, 20 Sacred Shards or 50 Primal. Like if you just did it with one type of shard, you can see Primal's 50, Sacred's 20. You're talking somewhere in the region of $200 to $300 for Gwyndolin if you're buying everything outright. That is the reality. It's an expensive bird. So is Gwyndolin the Silent actually worth going for? We can see the champion here looks insanely cool, right? Visuals alone, she looks amazing. She or he, I always mix up genders, and everyone in the comments always comes back at me saying, this champion is not a male, it's a female. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm terrible at it. But Gwyndolin looks amazing. We will affectionately call this Hedwig from now on. So what is really cool about this champion is an attack champion with a high base attack of 1520, 102 base speed, pretty good base stats, 1000 defense and 15,000 HP, means that she's not so super squishy. We've got an A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a, when booked, 50% chance to extend the duration of all debuffs by 1 turn. This is effectively what Vizier does. This is a Vizier A1. It's pretty much the same thing. It's almost an identical copy paste. Then we have an A2, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed and leech on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places a decreased accuracy on enemies under 2 or more debuffs for 2 turns. Now, pretty much, if you get both of them on the first one and you bring any form of any of the debuffs, which you probably will have, right? You might have a decreased defense, a weaken. You're likely facing an enemy with more than 2 debuffs, even if you 3% any of these. So this skill is essentially a decreased accuracy, decreased speed, and a leech debuff in one ability. It's very, very good on a 3-turn cooldown for Hydra, for wave controls. Probably you might even need it for some Cintranos waves, right? You're slowing the enemies down, which is very important in Cintranos because a lot of the waves there are very fast, especially in Soul Cross. They're 200 speed plus, so decreased speed adds a lot more value. Leech is great for keeping you alive and decreased accuracy. This is pretty good. Then we get another AoE, so 2 AoEs. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, you get an increased accuracy, which is great for this other ability, which means I actually need less accuracy. Has 75% chance of stealing all block debuffs, so that books to 100%. And then if at least 1 block debuff was stolen, it places a block debuffs on all allies. So you essentially get an all ally block debuffs. You remove the block debuffs so you can place the debuffs on the enemies on the second ability, and you get an increased accuracy to make all of it more efficient because it does it before you attack on a 3-turn cooldown. And then what makes her even more interesting is this passive. This is what makes her, in my opinion, worth going for. Is this passive, because up until now she's been a decent Hydra champion, does some really cool stuff. It's kind of like a damage support champion, but this is what makes it really good. This champion's crit damage increases by 1% for every 10 points of accuracy they have. This is a little bit like what Carnage does, but just on a much smaller scale, right? This is 10, Carnage does it on 3. So what does that mean in reality? Well, pretty much in Hydra you need about 400 to 300 accuracy. So let's say it's 400. Well, she's going to get a bonus 40% crit damage for just having accuracy that she needs in Hydra. This is going to give you bonus damage. But then she also will get an extra turn after this champion uses any 3 abilities. So it's going to go this into that, extra turn. Now, what I don't know and what I need to test is if I go this into that, will the extra turn then count for the next 3 cycles? So will it go this into that extra turn, into this, into that extra turn, into this, into that extra turn, or will you have to do 3 whole non-extra turn abilities? I don't really know. We'll have to see. But this is very powerful. This means that you can get back around to this block debuff. It's a 3-turn cooldown with only a 1-turn ally block debuff, which is not that long. Obviously, you can put things like lasting gifts to try and extend it and various different things. But it does mean that you will get back around to your abilities a lot quicker than the allies will necessarily use them. So absolutely, I mean, there's also a 60 accuracy aura in all battles, which is really big as well. Base stats look really cool. I think it's probably a champion worth considering. It's one of those ones, though, you need to play test to really know. And I don't have the test server. I'm not able to test these champions in advance. So essentially, I'm biting the bullet and I'm kind of getting the champion so that I can play test it properly to see if it's going to be worth it. So there you go, guys. That is the event for Gwyndolin. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like these guaranteed Deck of Fate events? I think they're okay as long as they're paired alongside a pretty good summoning event. As long as it's paired alongside those, then I think it's probably okay. It is a pretty good champion. I don't think it's a bad champion. I don't think it's necessarily crazy champion. It'll have to see how we play test it. Maybe someone can come up with crazy ideas. Maybe once I get my hands on it, I can actually come out with different crazy ideas as well. I'm certain it could possibly go into Clan Boss to do some funky stuff. We'll see how it goes. Definitely looks like a great Hydra champion. Might even be good for some Centrano stages in future rotations, if that fits well. But there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below how your Deck of Fates goes if you're summoning it. Let me know how your primal shards go if you summon for the primal shards. And I'll catch you in the next video.